Greetings. This capsule is going to be about delegation. Why do we need to delegate? One reason could be because we can't do our jobs alone, we need help. Second reason could be that we need to increase the sphere of our influence. We're getting more people involved and trying to communicate or get things done with more people. So, this particular presentation is going to be in three parts. But before that, I would like to give you a definition of delegation. So, as you see, delegation is the process of transferring the responsibility for a specific activity or task from one person to another and empowering that individual to accomplish a specific goal. Look at the keywords: transferring, responsibility, empowering, accomplish. These are the ones which describe what delegation is all about. So we're going to have three parts to it. First, we're going to talk about the benefits that accrue by delegating. Second would be what are the barriers that we face when we're trying to delegate or people try to delegate to others. And what are the steps that we can have to delegate and therefore be successful about it. So let's look at the first one, benefits. So if we delegate to a workforce, to the people, then you find that they are more empowered, they are more interested in doing their work, and therefore that could be a good reason, and therefore they are able to produce their output with better quality and productivity. The team members get a sense of ownership, and thereby the overall cost of operation goes down. This is also a case that when you are able to delegate to others, you get more time for yourself. Therefore, you could pursue a lot of projects or ideas, innovative ideas, which can be helpful for the organization or the team. But there are some barriers to it. We find it so difficult to delegate, isn't it so? So, what are those barriers? Let's look at those barriers. First barrier is a lack of confidence and trust. Principally, this will occur because you don't want to delegate to another person because you don't know whether the person will be able to do the job as well as you can do. And maybe they require some extra training. Maybe you need to check more or rather double check what they have done. So you're not prepared for that. So there's a lack of confidence and trust, and therefore you do not want to delegate. First reason. Secondly, you may be not interested in losing authority and control. This typically happens when in larger organizations or even sometimes in smaller organizations where you are centralizing all the activity and do not want to decentralize, which means that everything is moves from the top. The management is top down, and therefore the idea of delegation is not encouraged. Third part is the insecurity, where you are scared that you lose your position or your job. That happens in organizations. Many of us would not like to delegate. It can also be a situation where you have from the technical point of view that you don't know what to share, and therefore uh, you have some scare of losing your position. You losing your position of authority, your position losing your position of expertise. So all these are factors which could be the reason why you're not sharing. And fourth area would be that you would like to do the job so much yourself that you do not want to give to others. Happens a lot with technical people. They are so much interested in the job that they don't want to give to others because they enjoy it. And lastly, which is mentioned, the unwillingness to share is occurring because of the fact that you don't want to let go of authority or technical information for various reasons. Either it's losing authority or control or insecurity and so on. So just to give an example, this kind of thing is not only happening in organizations, but could happen within the family itself. For example, you have spouses, between spouses, one of them is taking care of finances, the other one is taking care of let's say household activities like the kitchen. Then one does not want to give authority to the other, or rather information to other, for fear of losing authority. This is happening also, and not only between a husband and wife, it could also happen in a family between different members of the family, because a joint family where one does not want to give up authority, and therefore you will find such barriers in household also. So these are about all the barriers that we can think of which prevent us from delegating. Now, I did a survey with around 200 people, who out of which about 90, 70 people have answered the survey. And in this survey, I asked two questions. First question was, which area in your professional or personal life do you have the maximum need for delegation? And the maximum amount was at the workplace. But surprisingly, I found a substantial amount, 29%, as you see in the slide here, was for the family. The second question was, while delegating, what barriers do you face? That is, what is it that prevents you from delegating? And a large number of people talked about the lack of confidence on whom you are delegating, which was also an example which you saw just earlier. So the survey was very interesting, because it kind of gives you insight into what are the issues involved in delegating, where is it that they uh, find the need to delegate. So third point which we are looking for, we talked about the benefits, we talked about the barriers. Now look at what are steps available for us to solve the problem. So there are 5 steps here. It's called prioritize, matching, responsibility, empower, accountability. So the first step would be to find out, of all the jobs that you need to do, which are more important than others. So some amount of prioritization is required, and to find out that what is it that you can delegate, what is it that you do not want to delegate. Some you would like to keep it to yourself, some you can delegate to others. For example, C-class activities or activities which are not very, very important, probably somebody else can do it. The second step would be to match. That means a matching between needs or requirements versus the availability of people, the ability of people, and whether they are knowledgeable or motivated enough to do the job. So once this is done, once you have found the people who can do the particular job or the particular task, then the third thing would be to assign responsibility in terms of what they need to deliver, what is the result that you're looking for, and how much training, if any, required. Arrange for the training, give them adequate amount of resources, and the fourth step would be to empower them with the resources or the money in order to execute the particular task. The last one is to make sure that they are accountable for whatever action that you have delegated. So that's the most important part of the thing. This is the last one, which is the accountability. And then you have a situation where you need to follow up. You need to follow up and also recognize their contribution to the whole process. This is also part of the uh, process. Now I'm going to look at 2 areas uh, which from what we discussed. That the first is lack of confidence and trust, and second is about the accountability and responsibility, which will come next after this slide. So first one, let's look at lack of confidence and trust. So how do we handle this? So one way of doing it is to allow the person to whom you are delegating, allow them to fail. Do not expect them to succeed the first time, or because they are not as good as you, or they are not perfect, and but at the same time you cover up where they cannot perform. That's one of the ways by which you can get over this problem of confidence and trust. That is, you right in the beginning you are sure that they may not be able to deliver. Maybe they can deliver 80% of what they're supposed to do. The balance 20% is what you are trying to cover. That is one. This is helpful, uh, because then you will find somebody to help you out, and you don't have to do the job all by yourself. For this, you need to prioritize your activities and probably give those activities which are not very critical. The critical activities you keep yourself. This also helps in leadership learning and development, as you find it in that example given there, as how the geese does when one goose which is there as the leader gives an opportunity to the other one to take charge from time to time to be a leader by rotation. So this helps in leadership development because they're actually giving the chance for them to work as leaders. And this is a great, you are not only developing yourself, you're not only delegating and making your life better, easier in order to work, do the work, but you're also developing leadership skills. So this is one way by which you can be doing the lack when you have a lack of confidence and trust. Secondly, when you're looking at responsibility and accountability, I would like to talk about one particular example. This is about on the left hand side, you know this person possibly. It is Professor Abdul Kalam, who was the President of India. And the right hand side is the mission director of ISRO, that is Mr. Satish Dhawan. So Satish Dhawan was Abdul Kalam's boss, and when in 1979, when they tried to send out the Rohini satellite, there was a failure. So what happened is when there was a failure, a lot of people were naturally very unhappy. But Satish Dhawan said that though it has failed, it was really the job of the mission project director, that is Professor Abdul Kalam. He said, I will go to the press conference and take the onus of the failure myself. And he went and said, yeah, we failed, but hopefully we'll succeed. For the next year, very next year, 1980, the same satellite was sent up again to cover up for the failures. The failed satellite the last year, and this time they succeeded. At that time, he gave the opportunity to the mission the mission in charge, the project director, Professor Kalam, to take the press conference and take the credit. So this is one of the interesting points that one can understand, that though you are delegating accountability to some extent, to the extent of that particular uh, job that you're giving to the person to the delegating, it's still you still have the accountability as a portal. You still have the accountability. Your accountability does not go away, and it's up to you to uh, develop leadership by owning the responsibility when there is a failure and giving credit to your subordinates when there actually is a success. This is one particular example here. So we come to the end of the presentation now, right? Uh, If there are any questions, you can call me back at this number or contact me on WhatsApp or email me. And hopefully, you found this presentation interesting and useful. Thank you so much.